Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Got the shades on. Texas still number one. Everything's good there. Nothing changing, at least for 17 more days, because we are 17 days away from kickoff. So be sure to tell us who your favorite number 17 is. Also want to point out, fellas, days muted is now higher than the kickoff number for the first time.
Jinx.
So that's a milestone for me, I might add. But tell us where you're checking in from as well, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We got Tony Hills that's going to join us here in a little bit. So everybody loves Hump Day with Hills. So be sure to stay tuned for that as well. Now then, let's talk this morning. Jerry, over on ontexasfootball.com, you wrote an article about 5 players ascending in fall camp, and I was hoping we could discuss that a little further.
Yeah, so I thought this is a good topic right now, because heading into the second scrimmage, right? This is the deciding scrimmage coming up on Saturday, Bobby. Who are some guys? And look, when a team's ranked number one, has as much talent as there is at Texas, there's a lot of guys ascending. But I mentioned 5 guys, and the 5 guys, and 3 of those guys are coming off injury, so they should be ascending. But I went with Ty Anthony Smith, Derek Williams, Cedric Baxter, Christian Clark, and those are 4 of my 5.
Jordan Washington
and Jordan Washington. 4 guys off of injury essentially, because Jordan Washington missed the spring. And that's coming off of kind of early returns fall camp plus Saturday scrimmage. And let's start with Ty Anthony Smith, because he was actually number 1 on my list. And that doesn't mean it's the list. He was number 1 on my list, Bobby. And we've just heard so many things about Ty Anthony Smith. And it started really with Sarkisian saying budding star. And then he came back again Monday, said he's having a great fall practice. But we heard he had a tremendous scrimmage and lead up to that scrimmage.
Look, we can talk about Ty Anthony Smith. I disagree with your list. I'm gonna put that out there. I think your list left off 3 guys that deserve to be on there before some others. But
I just went with 5.
That's fair. I think these 3 are ahead of some of yours. Look, Ty Anthony Smith, to your point, and I will agree with you that he is somebody that is going to need to be reckoned with down the line at Texas. I just don't know if this year is the year, unless he sees time and spells Leonga Lafau. Because Ty Anthony Smith and Anthony Hill play more of the same position as one another, in my opinion. And so I just don't see Texas taking Anthony Hill off the field in a game of consequence too often. I mean, until the game either way is considered done. Anthony Hill just has too much juice. I would say that Ty Anthony Smith, though, if you were asking me this question, who is going to be a leader of the defense next year, Jerry, to your point, I would definitely think you're right about Ty Anthony Smith, because I think he's a playmaker. He's not Anthony Hill. Off the edge.
I think he's going to end up playing starter snaps on this team. However they move him around on the defense. I think Sark's giving a lot of hints right now that Ty Anthony Smith is about to play a lot of snaps this season at Texas. Be interesting.
Could be. I mean, he I'm not saying he's not going to play snaps. Look, who's he going to replace? Who's he going to? Trey Moore is in one of those roles. You have Leonga Lafau, who you're probably not taking off the field on first and second down. Now, I could see somebody being better than him in pass coverage, but in between the tackles as an inside linebacker, when you have an Anthony Hill already as a disruptor, I don't know.
Yeah. And a lot of the other guys were coming off injury for me, and they're ascending off of their injury. Like Derek Williams is really ascending coming off his injury right now. Got a lot of strong reviews in Saturday's scrimmage, right? Guys that are coming off major season-ending injuries, they should be ascending right now as long as they don't have setbacks. And Derek Williams, that first open practice, Rod was like, saw a little hesitation. That hesitation is now gone. And he was one of the guys' bright spots from Saturday's scrimmage. I think and Derek Williams' return is enabling Texas to take a look at Michael Taff at nickel. Because without that, it's not happening.
Yeah, I agree with the premise, and we've talked about that premise. But is he really ascending, or is he just going back to what he was? Because he's a starter prior. I mean, same with C.J. Baxter. I mean, now Baxter is ascending based on expectations. Williams was always expected to return to form. Christian Clark, I think, had a great scrimmage, to your point. Jordan Washington, probably one of the more unnoticed guys in scrimmage based on what our feedback has been across the board. But how you don't have Parker Livingstone, Alex January, and Murad Watson in this list out of 5?
Well, Murad Watson for me was
they weren't starters last year for Texas.
Yeah, but Murad Watson for me is a freshman All-American. He's already a dude. Like there's no his ascension's all SEC. Like he's already a dude. That's not even a question in my mind on him.
How about Parker Livingstone and Alex January then? Parker Livingstone is.
Well, that's why I said at the start of my article. There's
anybody. Right?
I think Parker Livingstone has his place on this team.
I think he's a little bit more than that. Alex January, from freshman that played 5 to 10 plays a game, now a starter. I mean, those are. Look, I'm not trying to be argumentative here with you. I think the guys that you picked are good. I feel a little differently. I think that if you start talking about exceeding or ascending expectations, I could see what you're talking about with Cedric Baxter because his injury was so far gone. I can see what you're saying with Jordan Washington, but Livingstone, January, and I'll take I'll acquiesce to Murad Watson already being a dude. If you'll acquiesce to taking Derek Williams off your list. Well, I'll put it that way.
I can't take Derek off the list.
Okay.
I got to stay with that one.
Oh, gosh. All right, Bobby, tell us about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam and the Lowy Law Firm have been in business for 20-plus years at helping injured Texans. UT Law grad. Adam and his firm have been helping people who've been in accidents from 18-wheeler to ATV and everything in between. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, or automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, make sure you reach out to Adam and his team for a free consultation, and they will let you know what they think of your case. Again, it's totally free. LowyLawFirm.com. Adam has been a sponsor of On Texas Football for more than a year now. We appreciate him very, very much. He helps make shows like this possible. That is LowyLawFirm.com.
All right, guys. So y'all have been talking player expectations, but let's look at some team expectations when it comes to betting lines.
Oh boy.
Yeah, not a lot has changed, but I was putting together this list this morning. And so far we know 4 lines for 4 games that the Longhorns will be playing this season. We'll take the first half of this list first. Ohio State, Texas is a 2.5-point underdog, which is actually the first time that the number 1 team has been ranked a team has been ranked number 1 and an underdog in the season opener. Meanwhile, at Oklahoma, they're a 10.5-point favorite. They're also a 10.5-point favorite against A&M, but a 2.5-point underdog against Georgia. And we discussed this a few months ago, but kind of curious to get y'all's thoughts now as we are 17 days away from the season.
Yeah, look, I think Ohio State's a coin flip game, and that's going to the home field team. Oklahoma, feels a little high for me. I know the chat will disagree. That feels a little high for me. I think Oklahoma's an improved football team, as long as
Yeah, I was gonna say as long as John Mateer is still.
Yeah, Georgia again, coin flip, goes to home field right now. Texas A&M, I can actually see that with Texas being the home team until we see what Marcel Reed is actually going to look like over the course of a season and how much he's improved. Is that offense going to travel for them? is going to be the big question for me. Is their offense going to travel? If Marcel Reed doesn't play well on the road, then that number could feel about right to me. Oklahoma's the one that it's most interesting to me, Bobby. I feels high right now.
I do too. I mean, we all do this. We all kind of casually look in on other teams, right? And try to understand what's going on. I've got Texas going 3-1 in those games, by the way. I got Texas beating Oklahoma, Georgia, and A&M, losing to Ohio State when I predicted the season. And the thing that I will say is Ohio State may have a quarterback issue, like a true one. I've mentioned this before. I talked to somebody. It's not so much – it's that no one is winning that job right now. It's not that they don't have talent. It's just not one of them is saying, okay, this job's mine. Texas has a quarterback that they're going with. And so that gives Texas an innate advantage, but it is on the road. It is the first game of the year with the new quarterback for Texas, with a lot of new faces on the offensive line for Texas. So it is what it is. Oklahoma right now, I'm buying a little bit right now. And what I mean by that is I think that they're going to be a little bit better than people anticipate. I think Mateer is a really, really talented runner of the football. Like he is a really – now, does that mean that 3/4 of the way through the season he's beat to you know what? I don't know. But he's a talented runner of the football. They should be better on the offensive line, and I think their defense is going to be stout. It was stout last year at times.
Yeah, and they had no support.
Yeah, no, and then it had no support, so Texas puts 30 up on them. You know, it happened over time. It didn't happen. Remember, it didn't happen out of the gate for Texas in that game last year. And so if OU is able to score earlier this year, that game takes on a different trajectory. Georgia, I just am not buying as most people are. And I don't know whether it's Gunnar Stockton. I don't know whether it's Mike Bobo, who's still the offensive coordinator there, who is not exactly what's the best way to put it for him? He has not exceeded expectations as a coach with what he has since we've known him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not his MO. And then A&M, something that Colin Klein said yesterday to the media struck me. Colin Klein, obviously former K-State quarterback that's now the Texas A&M offensive coordinator, said they had more explosive plays in their practice either yesterday or the day before in a single scrimmage than they had their entire time last year in a single play. So KC Concepcion, the reemergence of or the health of Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens, some new receivers as well. Perhaps they'll improve as well. But right now, I've got Texas going 3-1 in those games.
Yeah, I do as well. And so Ohio State for me, I think Julian Sands a starter. They're just playing the game the same way the old Quinn Ewers-Hudson card game was played. But I do think Kleinholtz could have some packages in the run game with them. Georgia, I agree on Bobo. Look, I think there's more pressure on the Georgia offense this year than any season under Kirby Smart. Because they're good. They have talent, and they have a lot of talent. They continue to recruit top 5 classes. But they just lost so many impact guys on defense last year. And I know KJ Bolden's going to be a really good player. And I know Ellis Robinson's going to be a good corner. And I know they're high on some of the young backers. But those guys also have to get on the field and continue to gain experience. No different from some guys at Texas. But you lose 5 of your top 6 D linemen. You lose Jalen Walker, who's a great football player. Malachi Starks, who's an All-American. His running buddy at safety, Dan Jackson. So, I mean, they lost a ton. Smile Mondon, their best cover backer. They lost a ton off that defensive impact players. So I think that, and plus the new quarterback, replacing 4 offensive line starters, mixing in all the new receivers out of the portal. I think Nate Frazier's a stud running back. He's going to be a sophomore, but Bobo has more pressure on him. I think Georgia's going to have to score more points this year than they've been relied upon to score. And are they going to deliver on offense? Because I think their schedule's one that you can You can drop 3 games on that schedule if your offense sputters.
They're going to look like a blue-collar team, not that they didn't last year when Carson Beck just didn't look very good. But I just – look, we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
I think they're going to be a blue-collar team, and I think this could be a little I don't want to say come back to earth. I think they're one of the most talented teams in the country, if not the most talented, at just about multiple positions except for perhaps quarterback. So
here's a question.
I'm not a huge believer in Nate Frazier either as an elite back. I think he's good. I don't think he's elite. I would take Trey Wisner over Nate Frazier personally.
Chat, 9.5 wins. Does anybody have the under on 9.5 in the chat? It's my question. 9.5 Texas wins. Does anybody have the under in that 9.5?
And we'll
where's everybody's head at on August 13th on that?
We'll come back to that here in a moment because I believe our Wednesday guest is ready. Tony Hills, the man, the myth, the legend. How we doing this morning?
Hey, man, you know what it is, dog. The energy is here, baby. What's happening, UT? What's up, man? Coffee and football. I see the only one that is drinking coffee on this segment is Bobby Burton. Bobby, I tell you what, man, you are always, sir, and when I mean always, I do mean always, representing, doing the things that need to be done out here, man. We appreciate you. So with that being said, let's get after it. Jerry, I don't want to hear any commercials about balls.
Not what happening. But Tony, have you heard of Joy Mode?
Okay. Now, hey.
Okay. See, but that's just, I've had my props here. So I'm disappointed, Tony. When are you going to have an oatmeal cream pie in the open? Do I have to do this every week? I don't have one this week.
No, you know what? I gotta get my bakery team on it, man, because I'm not eating science. I'm not eating. I eat only the purest ingredients.
You make it yourself. That's
absolutely. Right. So I tell you what, I will put it up. Matter of fact, hey, I need y'all to get them oatmeal cream pies for us by next Wednesday. All right, we good to go. We good. Let's get it.
Tony, I've got a question for you.
All right.
A question for you. Reports coming out of scrimmage on Saturday had the offensive line and the offense in general being overwhelmed the first couple of drives by the ones on defense.
Yep.
Whether that was a sack from Colin Simmons, Anthony Smith, 2 3-and-outs apparently by the ones the very first drives. You've been in that locker room when the defense has been that good before, probably. What does that say to you in the first scrimmage of the year? And so what kind of thought process goes on in your head when you hear the head coach talk about it that way, et cetera?
Yeah, for me, it just shows you that, first of all, we have a really good defense. I think that, it's unanimous that Texas has one of the top defenses in the country, right? So as an offense, obviously you want to go out and you want to perform and you want to produce. The reality is that there's always a growth arc offensively than it is defensively, right? Defensively, you scheme up things, you have certain cues and things of that nature, but for the most part, your job is to create chaos, right? And to blow up plays. So when you're on the offensive side, it's a little bit more synchronicity that has to happen, not only with the offensive line, but with the running back, their keys, receivers, their keys, the quarterback seeing what he needs to see. So at the end of the day, without me being able to actually watch the film on the practice, I can just go back from our experience when we lost Vince to the NFL and we came back with a defending, national championship team. We had the core of the team. But the defense won a lot of reps because there was just a lot of growth that had to happen, quite frankly, with Colt, right? And so at the end of the day, like when you have youth and some inexperience at positions, it takes some time. But I can tell you this, by the time we got towards the end of it, we were giving more punches than we were taking. So for me, when I hear that, I just hear that there's just a lot more work and continuity that has to happen on the offensive side of the ball. Listen, this is a talented group. This is a group that wants to work and wants to get better. So I know that they're in there and they're getting coached the right way. And I believe that when their opportunity comes again, it'll be a better showing.
Hey, Tony, wanted to ask you this. 17 days out right now? That second scrimmage coming up Saturday is going to be pretty much determine the 2 deep, essentially, right? Coaches are starting to fit these guys in. From a player's perspective, they all know what Saturday means, this week means. What take me through that process for as a player for those guys. Because, look, you don't want to overthink it, but they know how much is on the line for the guys fighting for spots right now in the 2 deep.
Yeah, listen, the work is done in the offseason, guys. So you're not going to go out and in a scrimmage and just all of a sudden blow it up. If you've been a guy that's been putting in that work, and if you have, there's no need to try to force the game. You allow the game to come to you. If you've put the study in, you've put the work in, you've put the work in the weight room, then everything is going to appear at the time that it's supposed to. One of the things for me personally, when I first became a starter, is I had this bad habit of pressing, because I just wanted to be the best so bad. And I wanted to represent the legacy that the Mike Williams and the Leonard Davises and the Jonathan Scotts, all of these great offensive linemen and these tackles, the Justin Blaylocks of the world, right? The center lines, the Studders, all of these guys. I wanted to make sure that I didn't let those guys down. So I pressed a little bit, right? It wasn't until I sat down with Casey and he gave me the game on how to let the game come to me that I was able to kind of calm down and just step into my talent. And so a lot of these guys are going through that same process. And so what happens is that once, like, majority of the game in football is played up here. Once these guys understand how to play the game up here, then everything else just comes into play. These guys are too talented. And I know that, and another thing is, I know they have the right coaching staff in play that's going to be able to get these guys right. So for me, if the defense is having a great day, the offense is struggling, that's fine. Because guess what? There's going to come a time when the offense comes out and they're hitting on all cylinders and it just seems like they can't be stopped. It's like a great shooter. It's like, you see Steph Curry. This guy hits half-court shots from anywhere. But there are certain times in the game where this guy can't hit the side of a white barn with red paint. It happens, right? So, like, what we got to do is you learn from the mistakes, you correct them, you don't make the same mistakes twice. And quite frankly, I'd rather these guys get their butt kicked now so that they can make sure that they're tied in, because you learn more from loss than you ever do win. When you're winning a lot, sometimes the things that you need to work on kind of slip because, we're winning. But when you get your butt kicked, you're locked in. So I can only imagine what this next scrimmage is going to be. I anticipate there's probably going to be more fire. There's probably going to be fights, because I know Coach Flood is probably talking about we got kicked in the teeth, and that's not the standard here. So I anticipate fights happening and letting them know we're not taking it. So I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Tony, you talk about this. Have you ever in your career played a game like what Texas is going to face, in that most Texas historically has had their major interconference game be the second game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a warm up, you know what I mean? And then you go play a Michigan, or then you go play an Ohio State. This year it's right out of the gate, right? Going to Columbus. Any corollaries to anything you've done in your career, or your thoughts on how that might be different than any other year where they're going and playing a get ready game before they go play the big one?
I mean, professionally, yeah, because every team is a playoff caliber team. So, I mean, so you look at the season and you look at strength of schedule, and I'm going to need a lot more massage therapists and my Asian acupuncture dude to come on with it. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be those type of battles. Collegiately, that was the style back then, to have a warm-up game and then come back and then, play a higher caliber team. So I can't recall a time collegiately where we came straight out of the gate. But, look, I get the respect that Ohio State has, right? But at the same time, this is what we have to realize. That Ohio State team that won that championship is not the Ohio State team that Texas is going to face. Do they have some players back? Yeah, but they also lost some guys too, right? So at the end of the day, no two teams are the same. The only thing that matters is this: which team is going to execute the most? Which team is going to execute not only the most, but which team is going to have the least amount of turnovers? And in the fourth quarter, which team is going to be properly conditioned to make the plays, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, that's going to win the game? That's the team that's going to win. Obviously, we want it to be us, right? And there's a lot of talent on both sides of the game. But at the end of the day, they're not playing that same team. So for me, what I'm looking to see right out the gate is what are the first scripted plays? That's what I need to know offensively. What are the first 5 to 10 scripted plays? Are they more run dominant, or are they more pass dominant? As a offensive lineman, I can tell you, when we're playing a game of that caliber, I need to fire off the ball and drive people into the ground and let them know this is how it's going to be from first quarter to fourth quarter. That's how you create the physicality. That's how you create the mindset. So I would love to see more run calls than pass calls. That's just me personally.
Out of the gate.
Out of the gate. Because it sets the tone. There's a tone that has to be set. Like, I don't care about listen, this opponent is a nameless gray face that is in the way from the ultimate prize that we want. I don't give a damn who you are. And the best way to show that is by me putting these paws on you and driving you to a place that you don't want to go, game in and game out, time in and time out. So that's what I would like to see. Everything else is just speculation.
Hey, so I'm going to put you on the spot, Tony, because this is fun.
Let's do it.
Somebody asked in the chat last week, I think it was, could you handle losses to Oklahoma and A&M if you won the national championship? So you went 10-2, but your losses were Oklahoma and A&M, but you ended up winning the national championship. Now that there's a college football playoff, could you handle that? Do you want the natty that bad?
That's the right answer. See, that is the right answer. That's what I was trying to tell you guys.
Hey, that's a tough question somebody brought up in the chat.
That's
okay.
Other people say, "Oh, we want the natty. We want."
I will take the natty. I don't care. I
get it. I get it. Here's the thing, too. You're asking a guy that is a national champion for a team that never lost a game. Yeah. So now you're asking that guy to say, if you lost to the two most hated schools,
we lost him.
If I would be okay losing them but winning a championship, for me personally, the championship is tainted. I appreciate. Listen, here. I'm speaking from two different sides, though. I'm gonna show you from the athlete side. To me, hell no, it's tainted. I don't want it. From the business side of me and what that does, yes, sir. Give me all of that, right? Because you walk in, and at the end of the day, they don't say he's a national champion, although they lost to A&M in Oklahoma. They just say you're a national champion. It's the same. Listen, this is the same thing Ohio State dealt with. This is Michigan's claim to fame. Like, yeah, y'all won a natty, but y'all ain't beat us, so it don't count, right? I don't want that part of the talk.
Yeah, Tony, your screen went dark on us, but I concur with your initial feedback. Like, I don't even want to think about that being. It's almost like that taints it for me.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit different. That Jerry and I think all the majority of fans, at least in the chat, are like, oh yeah, we would take that. I'm not so sure I would. I mean, that you got to live 365 with your neighbors not liking you.
Hey, here's the follow-up.
Something one up on you.
Here's the follow-up question: would Sark take that?
Ooh.
He would take he'd take the national championship hands down.
Probably so.
Hey, bring me in on the other phone.
Connection. We're gonna let you go, buddy. You man.
I'm muting Tony.
All right, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and let him go, Blake, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Tony.
We appreciate him so much for coming in as often as he does with us every Wednesday. We're going to have more of Tony this year as well. I hope to incorporate him some on game days.
He's back
next day. Oh, is he back already?
Maybe. He may have froze. Never mind.
Okay.
He froze
yeah,
on.
There could just be some issues today. Hey, my Wi-Fi is fixed. There's that at least. Jenny Burton helped me a little bit on that.
Hey, by the way, I think CJ Vogel needs to ask Sark that question next Monday.
The coach is going to look at you cross-eyed.
No,
he
wants
to just talk about Ohio State.
He's going to say, I don't do hypotheticals.
Yeah.
That is what he's going to say.
That's a Sark answer. You're right.
All right. Well, before I want to come back and visit Jerry's question to the chat. But first, Jerry, I want you to tell everybody how they can look as good as you by wearing Gooder.
Man, you can look a lot better than me with Gooders on. I'll tell you that for the chat. This is about 60% of what you can be with Gooders. Stylish Sunnies starting only $25 a pair, 1 year free warranty, 30-day free returns. It's part of the read. You don't need it. Lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce. Like I said yesterday, I got on the bike and rode 17 miles one day, 18 the other. This weekend, no slip, no bounce. They were perfect, sitting on my face, breeze with the breeze rolling down the road. From vibrant colors to sleek styles, they're a pair of gooders for every personality, designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much, much more, which leads me to, when do you wear and why do you wear your gooders? Well, if you're on a run, biking, playing pickleball, playing tennis, on a hike, going to the beach. All those summer vacays are almost over. How about if you go to Floribama on your way down I-10 to go to the Florida game, and you say you're going to drive it, and you stop off and go to Floribama. You're on the beach there in Perdido Key. I've worn Gooders on the beach in Perdido Key at Floribama before. Try that. But because they're so affordable, you don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every single occasion. If you need a new pair of sunnies, Gooder is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code OnTexas, all caps, for free shipping. They offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. I have to read it, and 1,000% satisfaction. I said it. That again, that's gooder.com/OnTexas, and use that code for free shipping.
And Bobby, if you'll tell us about Duck Camp this morning. Yeah, I absolutely can do that. I'm actually wearing their gear right now. Welcome back to Duck Camp. As an On Texas football sponsor this season, Duck Camp gear is made for the people that live for the moments out there, where they're fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and most importantly, football to watch. They like doing all that stuff, so they built a company centered on it, based in Austin and dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. There are those of you out there that look forward to the opening day of hunting season and the kickoff of Longhorn football with the fervor and excitement of a 5-year-old on Christmas morning. And Duck Camp is here to let you know that from opening day to game day, they've got you covered. Here's a great season, y'all. Yes, hunting and football. Shop duckcamp.com today. All right. Thank you, Bobby. And like I said, I wanted to go back.
I forgot one part of my Gooder read.
Oh, gosh.
If you're John Mateer walking into a casino. All right.
I have never gambled on football or any sports gambling of any sort, even though I mentioned ultra sports gambling and a FIFA gamble. I mean, look, it's one thing to say you didn't bet on college sports. It's another to kind of – you sit there and there's like 8 mentions of poker later in the Venmo transaction list. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what the NCAA has. They have any – you know, if they're just going to say, oh, okay, we believe you, John, or they're actually going to exercise this subpoena power they have. They ain't going to do nothing. They allegedly have subpoena power now.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
All right, so you asked if anybody had under 9.5 wins, Jerry.
Did
a lot of people are with you guys. We got a ton of 10-2s across the board, a couple of 12-0s. Very optimistic there. But we did have a few 9-3s. Syracuse Horn, Bobby Gaithright says he sees losses to Ohio State, Georgia, and either A&M or ONU. Jay Lee, 9-3. So there are a few out there, but it seems the majority feel like it's going to be 10-2. We did have a couple of 11-1s as well, but I think 10-2 is the overwhelming favorite.
This is hilarious to me. We did our season predictions, Blake. You weren't part of that. But Jerry and I, along with Jeff, CJ, and Rod, did our season predictions. I was the only one that picked 10-2. Everybody else went 11-1. Yet I was the one that was crucified in the comment section. I want to put everything out there because I was the one that got taken out. I think that I will say this. Obviously, I'm not hard and fast on 10-2, nor am I. I think that the birth for Texas this year is going to be 9-3 to 11-1. I could see 8-4 if somebody gets injured. Texas, a weird interception. And what I said in that prediction show, I still believe to this day, Texas is going to be an infinitely better team the second half of the season than the first. That's my take on it. And I just feel like with the offensive line, with the quarterback, lot of new pieces. I feel really comfortable with where Texas is the second half of this season. I'm a little on like the Georgia game for me. Everybody else is picking Georgia. I picked Texas because I think Texas is going to be a better game by then, a better team by then. That's my opinion. I think people are overestimating Texas out of the gate and then potentially underestimating them down the stretch.
A lot of people are saying that you had Texas starting at 4-2, which is what they were getting.
Yeah, no, I actually had Texas starting 3-2. And then I had losses. My losses were to Ohio State and Florida in the swamp. And then they come back, and I think they're going to beat OU, and that's going to be I think that's when the season changes. That's when, they dig in their heels a little bit. Personal opinion. I hope they win in Ohio. Of course, I hope they win in Columbus. Give me a break. But that's how I'm foreseeing this season right now for some reason.
All right, let's move on this morning. We got some super chats we need to jump into. And thank you, everybody, for weighing in on your predictions. I got most of them up there, I think, and my apologies if I didn't get all of them. Let's start with Jay Lee. Do you have any Demo and Jay Brooks updates?
I do not.
DeAndre Moore. Who is Jay? Why am I missing Jay Brooks? Do you mean Nick Brooks?
I think maybe that's what he means.
Okay.
Nick Brooks was back at practice both Monday and Tuesday, is my understanding. DeAndre Moore is, he is one of the leaders of this team by his actions. Much like Jordan Whittington, and I specifically asked DeAndre about this in a press availability last week or week before last. He literally said that I do that on purpose. I am the first person at practice because I want my actions to match my words.
This is what I thought. He was asking about.
Okay, he's doing the throw route.
I have no knowledge.
I don't have anything.
I want to say this, and it's not a negative. When football gets going and college football gets going, I have blinders towards the NFL. I know a lot of people aren't like that, but we're so buried in what's going on with Texas and with college football. I personally get blinders.
I will say I read something a couple of weeks ago about Overshown, and they were expecting him to be back in the mix. As far as Brooks goes, I haven't seen anything, and don't take my word on that on Overshown. I'm not a huge NFL fan by any means, but I did read that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think Overshown, what somebody's saying, Freddie said that. I think I saw that somewhere second half of the year for Overshown, second half of the season.
So there you go. All right. C-Mac Tex Horn. Rick Neuheisel said he is concerned that Matt Patricia felt the need to bring in a defensive assistant last week to help with the install of his defense. Your thoughts? And, of course, they did bring in a former Miami defensive coordinator and put him on staff last weekend.
The question there, and I don't have the answer, is that a sign that he doesn't feel comfortable with some of his staff members that were holdovers that maybe weren't his guys?
This is a good point. Actually, I want to say this. I think Rick Neuheisel brings up a good point. That's my opinion. I think he brings up a good point. Really does.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned. That makes me think that Rick Neuheisel has a little insight there.
Yeah.
That Ohio State's defense and the installation isn't quite what they were hoping for. Can Patricia reach the whiteboard with his beard in the way? I think that's a really good point from Rick Neuheisel. A little bit of a hat tip to him for thinking.
Yeah. How many holdovers on the defensive staff were there from last year? Tim Walton, right?
Defensive line coach, definitely.
Larry Johnson.
Is Kerry Combs still the DB coach?
No. Matt Guerrero, the safeties coach, is a holdover, and Laurinaitis. So I think, did he just come in? He just came in as the DC, and everybody was a holdover from the staff.
It's interesting.
So does he not feel as So he didn't really get to hire anybody on his staff under him. Pretty interesting point Rick Neuhausel makes.
Yep.
Seth
Thanks, right. By the way, thanks for bringing that up in the super chat.
Yeah,
that's a great super chat.
Seth here with super chat. Thank you, Seth. He says, any validity to the Football Scoop article on Auburn's play calling? And if so, have y'all ever heard of that arrangement?
This is bizarre. Like somebody immediately wrote right after 4-8, here we come. Auburn apparently, Jerry, and I don't know if you saw this or not.
I haven't seen this. I'm catching up right now.
And this is for everybody that hasn't. This is awesome. This is like the playbook of how to get fired by a head coach. He has a first down play caller and strategist and a third down play caller and strategist.
Which one is he?
And he, quote unquote,
overrules.
He gets to overrule at any time. Since we spoke with Derek Nix and Kent Austin yesterday, just to reiterate, this is from Auburn beat writer Justin Hokanson. Nix handles first down strategy play calling. Austin handles third down strategy play calling. And as Nix said of Hugh Freeze, head coach has the authority to overrule anything we say or do.
You know what my initial thought on this is?
They're screwed.
Now, how much pressure are you trying to put on your quarterback here?
I know that, like, exactly what Jackson Arnold needs is more voices in his head.
Yeah.
He doesn't see enough of them when he's getting rushed.
I mean, like, wow, like new quarterback transfers in. Here's your first down play caller. Here's your third down play caller. By the way, I'm going to overrule anything I feel like, but go have at it because you got Ken Coleman and Eric Singleton.
Okay, I don't know what the line is when they go to Oklahoma early. But
they play Auburn first week.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry, Baylor for first week.
I'm just saying Auburn going to Oklahoma at some point this year, I think.
Yeah.
That line should have moved 5 to 7 points on that news alone. That's how dumb. That is how dumb that is, in my opinion. I don't know. Has that ever worked in the history of football coaching?
I've never heard of that before.
I know. I mean,
but look,
good luck piecing plays together.
Here's the thing: if it works, then watch the copycats come after it.
Yeah.
So Oklahoma is
watching him getting fired sent to the back of
Oklahoma is a 3-point favorite currently against Auburn, and Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite against Baylor in the opener.
Yeah, that game's at Baylor, correct?
Yeah. And also they did ask, how often does Freeze overrule those play calls? And they said it depends on how the game is going, but he's highly involved. To me, he's an outstanding play caller, and I've learned everything from him, is what Nick said.
He was a good play caller at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
I just think the quarterback has the toughest part of this. Like, if you had a veteran quarterback, but you're bringing in a first-year transfer guy who had a bad season last year. I mean, I don't know. That feels like a lot to put on that kid's plate. Yeah. But maybe it's easier for him. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. On the surface, doesn't sounds like you're starting. Sounds like if you walked in the play to Florida Gators in basketball last year, starting 4 power forwards and a shooting guard. Doesn't seem like it's going to work.
Nathaniel with the super chat. Thank you, Nathaniel. He says, what would y'all say was our biggest weakness last year that we were able to hide? And also, what do you think is the team's toughest matchup in the air?
I think the thing that was biggest weakness last year that we're able to hide enough was Quinn's lack of pocket mobility. Yeah. And that's why they had the most throws inside 5 yards in college football last year. It's not that Quinn can't throw it down the field, especially in their intermediate game. It's that if you got pressure on him, he didn't react like the quarterback, like you want your quarterback to in those situations to still keep the play alive and deliver the ball. Too much timing disruption if he felt pressure.
I think that there's an element of truth to that, but I think we knew a lot of that going into the season since he had been a third-year starter. So there was tape on him not being able to do that, Jerry, in my opinion. So what did in my opinion, what Texas hid was the lack of an inside running game as long as possible. Once Cedric Baxter and Christian Clark went down, the thinness of the run game and the style of running backs Texas had did not lend itself to running inside last year. And I think they hid that somewhat effectively by throwing those 5-yard passes. That was their manufactured run game. So I agree with you about Quinn and his shortcomings, but I think that was already on film. What wasn't on film? Texas not being able to run between the tackles.
Let's get to. You got something, Jerry?
Well, yeah, you hope your quarterback progresses.
Yeah, no, that's true. And he didn't. Not
In that regard.
Yeah, not in that way. Hey, by the way, people think we're really down on Quinn Ewers. I want to say something, and I think this is infinitely important. First of all, I've always predicated this with saying appreciate Quinn Ewers for everything he did for the University of Texas. It's important to note that, and Rod has mentioned this, and I agree with him, every quarterback has that thing they do that is as good or better than anybody else if you're a successful quarterback. What Quinn Ewers did that is as good or better, and it's underrated, than anybody will ever tell you, is hit people in stride in the short game. I mean, Jaden Blue doesn't score as many touchdowns if the ball's behind him or even on his hip as opposed to out in front of him. Okay? And so, yes, Quinn has shortcomings, but he also has strengths. And what people hear too much out of our mouths, I think, or relate are any of the shortcomings. So I want to put that out there. I think that Quinn, in the short game, his accuracy is literally as good as you're ever going to see. I mean, how many times did he hit Xavier Worthy moving on the move without having to wait on it? A lot. And I just want to put that out there. That's what Quinn does better than Arch Manning.
Look, I think there's pieces to all this. Him transferring back to Texas was huge for the Texas program, huge for Sarkisian, huge for Sark's build of the program. And with that being said, I mean, like I'm just going to be real with my thoughts on that. Is, somebody's like, well, what did the injuries do to hurt him? Well, the issue is you can run a pretty good 40. You can put up a pretty good shuttle time. But at the quarterback position, it's all how you react when the walls start closing in. And how do you react with body quickness, foot quickness, reactive quickness? It's the name of the game. You got to be a playmaker in those situations. And I don't think injuries derailed that part of it. I think it magnified it is what happened. For the people asking about the injuries, that's my opinion on that. Quarterbacks can't play in perfect pockets. And when they don't, they got to be a playmaker. It goes to playmaking at that point. And if your feet and your body, if you don't have that reactive quickness and those reactions, it's really tough.
Hey, I want to say I saw R. Charnell post yesterday about this, and he put an update up today. So I want to tell him congratulations. He says, checking in from Tulsa again, still hate coffee. Following up on my comment from yesterday, my soon-to-be freshman made the JV team at one of the largest schools in Oklahoma. So congratulations.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Congrats, R. Charnell.
All right, Bobby, can you tell us about Vaughn Lane this morning?
I can, Blake, one of my favorites. And we will be doing our tour this coming week and our travel sponsor for that will be Vaughn Lane. So you'll see me on a Vaughn Lane bus next week. But this fall, the biggest games and events are calling, and Vaughn Lane is the best way to get there. Skip the airport stress, forget the long, exhausting drive. Instead, step aboard a Vaughn Lane motor coach where every seat is first class. Just 22 oversized leather seats with 140-degree recline, leg rests, personal space you won't find anywhere else. Your onboard attendant serves complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, full meals, so you can arrive refreshed and ready for kickoff, the concert, or the race. Booking is now open for October travel. Lock in your seat for Texas OU and Dallas, F1 and ACL, and Austin are big football weekends in Houston, Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth. Vaughn Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, and Memphis. And new routes include Knoxville, the Woodlands, and Plano. Reserve your ride today at vaughnlane.com. Use to save $20 on your first trip. Vaughn Lane, your private jet on wheels. I'll be on them next week as we head across the great state of Texas. Jerry and myself, guys, as well as CJ, Jeff Howe, and Rod Baber is going to be visiting you guys at 3 different places. Next Tuesday, we are going to be at Schultz's Beer Garden. Make sure you come check us out there. You can RSVP at 3rd and Longhorn, or you can also go and meet us in Houston at Social Beer Garden. That will be on Wednesday night. And then Thursday, we will be commingling with the friends at Dallas, Texas X's at Happiest Hour. Also, folks at 3rd and Longhorn will be out there on that tour with us as well. Please join us.
Well, we looked at some lines earlier in the show for the Texas games, and I thought, it's a very, very big opening weekend. I mean, not counting the first one, but the actual opening weekend of college football is a big one. So let's look at a couple of these. We'll start with Notre Dame and Miami, where Notre Dame is a 2-point favorite.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And that says a lot, because in your other game, Ohio State gets the home field advantage. So Miami gets a home field advantage. What's Notre Dame? What are people really thinking? Notre Dame is -4.5 in that game, 4.5-point favorite. Look, I think it's not going to be talked about nearly as much because of Texas, Ohio State, and Clemson, LSU. But when you're talking about program that needs a win in a game like this, it's Mario Cristobal for me. And I'm not saying he's going to get fired this year. But what I am saying is, we've said this before, he's got Notre Dame and Florida at home, I think, 2 of the first 4 weeks. He better win one of those, else his fan base is going to really start to question him. But this Notre Dame game, this is interesting. If CJ Carr plays well at Miami, Notre Dame walks away with a win, that's going to be pretty telling for where the Notre Dame team can go, I think. If he plays well in his first start against Miami, even though I'm not sure how good a defense. Miami's got some pass rushers. Reuben Bain can get after it. I just don't know how strong depth-wise and where they're really at in the back end going into this year. But if CJ Carr plays well in that game and Notre Dame wins that game with him playing well, I think that's going to be a tell for their season. Because they didn't go into the portal for a reason. They think he's really good. Is he going to be really good game 1?
I would not touch Miami. I just wouldn't. I don't know that I believe in their defense. I don't know if I believe in their offense. I'm going Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And I would go by a touchdown plus.
Yeah.
That's my gut on that. I just think I think they also have better, like Miami has got some really good talent right now, especially on the offensive line. But where are the playmakers at Miami? I mean, Jim Ward was their playmaker last year. I just don't see that. I don't see that.
And then the other one we're going to look at this morning, LSU and Clemson. Clemson, a 4.5-point favorite.
This game's really interesting for me because look, I get why Clemson's favored in the game, but which D coordinator is Tom Allen in game 1 going to have that Clemson defense much improved? Because they have to be much improved. I mean, Texas would have rushed for 400 yards if Cam Williams didn't get hurt last year, or as many yards as Sark wanted to off the right side. And I get TJ Parker and Peter Woods are tremendous talents, and I get they're going to be first-round picks, and they had good years, but the defense as a whole wasn't that level last year. So are they going to be that level? And then you have Blake Baker in year 2, but so many new guys in the portal that are projected to be starters. So I think 5 or 6 portal players projected to be starters. So which of these guys in game 1 is going to have their defense improve the most from a year ago? I think that's who's going to win this game, honestly. I expect both quarterbacks to play well. I think both those guys answer the bell and play well. And I think they both have weapons. I think Nick Anderson staying healthy is a big thing for Nussmeier and LSU, because if he is, he's a top 3 round pick. He was mocked in some first rounds before last year at Oklahoma when he got hurt. But they both have the weapons. Caden Durham's the best running back in that game.
No doubt.
What's LSU's offensive line going to look like in that game versus Clemson? But which D coordinator really has their team ahead of schedule from where they were a year ago? I think is who's going to win this game.
I will say this. With an over-under of 57.5, they're looking at 30 to 27 type game. So it's going to be an offensive-minded game. And if that's the case, I would lean more to Clemson than I would LSU. Just going to say that because I felt like Clemson's offense with those. I mean, they have good young receivers now. I'm going to go Clemson in that game because Clemson's the home team there.
Yeah, that's a big one.
All right, we got another super chat this morning. And that super chat comes from Matt Hanley. Thank you, Matt. He says, good morning, gentlemen. Third quarter issues hurt us last year. Any thoughts that this will be different? Hook
'em. Jerry, why do you think, in all seriousness, why do you think there were third quarter problems? Was it lack of ability was it Sark not knowing what how the defense was going to alter its game plan? Was in Texas offense not necessarily being good enough to dictate what was going to happen in the third quarter? I think that's part of it because they didn't have that inside run game we discussed.
Yeah.
Yet
I think that was part of it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the third quarter thing is not a 1-year deal for them. They had problems 2 years ago in the third quarter too. And 4 years ago when they went 5-7. I think it's a fair question. If I were to guess, I think that with a quarterback, with a more mobile quarterback, they should at least be able to move the chains more consistently in the third quarter, even when a defense dials up something good. That is what Texas has not had. Because a lot of first downs in college football, I mean, what did Quinn average? 1 first down running a game? What if Arch averages 3 on scrambles, 2.5 this year? That keeps drives going in the third quarter where you can poke and prod a defense a little bit more. And Sark gets into his playbook a little bit more. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I want to see this team play this year on the field. I want to revisit that question after going into the Florida game. I want to see how this team looks different offensively from the way Sark is going to call plays, the plays he's going to call coming out of halftime with the quarterback, the players at his disposal, if he has a better inside run game, if the Texas running backs are healthier, right? Because last year that was an issue. But I think it's such a different team because of quarterbacks who are totally different style players. I need to see this offense a little bit before I really have a serious take on that right now. Because I think it's very, what does Cedric Baxter look like truly in his comeback? What does Christian Clark bring to the run game potentially? We know what Trey Weiser is going to bring. What is Arch Manning how is he going to impact the run game if the vertical threat passing game is there? So I want to see kind of how this meshes together the first few games headed into Florida. And I think we need to revisit that after we see how Sark is going to call plays with this team offensively this year. Because I think that's going to be that's big. Dean, this is a good follow-up. Somebody asked this the other day. Dean Nizer, who's the game changer on offense? We have several on defense. I'm a little different than some people. I think Texas has more of that than maybe given credit for. I think DeAndre Moore is a playmaker. He has the ability. There's different ways to be a playmaker. There's catching the ball short and having jets and making people miss, right, in the phone booth, that type of thing. There's a unbelievably good route runner that's so smooth that he's faster than you think, that just gets over the top of people and can make plays. Then you have Ryan Wingo, who can catch a slant and make a play. Emmett Mosley, I think, can make a play down the field. Parker Livingstone is a run and catch receiver with down the field ability. Jack Injuries had a 67-yarder against 57 or 67 against Miami last year, but everybody went deep and had big plays on Miami last year. But Texas has a number of guys that I think can make plays down the field in a different way, maybe, than what majority of us are thinking right now. It's not going to be quick game and go take off and go for 40 or 50. I think it's going to be through route running and scheming and guys who are really good route runners that have deceptive speed. But I think there's a lot of big plays on this Texas team, big play ability on this Texas team.
Bobby, we have a super chat for you from Chubbs 22. Says, Bobby, quit being so dang negative.
10-2 is negative. I don't. You guys are something else now. How is 10-2 negative? I'll take you back 4 years and then tell me 10-2 is negative. I'm being realistic, in my opinion. Negative would be 8-4. I'm not 8-4.
There you go. What you got?
We had a question. Somebody on here asked about, and I don't know where it's coming from, about KJ Edwards in Texas. I don't think that's happening. I don't think Texas is going after KJ Edwards. They have the guy they want, Derek Cooper.
They are 100% in on Derek Cooper. I can answer that with some authority.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, just the dude with the super chat. How sure are we that Mosley cracks the lineup? Is Livingston the third wide receiver?
It's a great question, man.
Well, I think this Mosley's health is a big part of this equation right now. But don't discount what Sark said about Mosley last week. And I think some people may be. He said he's bigger than you think. He's stronger than you think. He's faster than you think. And even for me, he was better in every facet than we thought. That's really high praise for a guy that started 9 games in college football at the Power 4 level last year. But you got to be healthy. If the game's played tomorrow, Parker Livingstone's probably the first guy out, right? Does that mean he is all season? I think if Emmett Mosley's healthy, he's really dangerous.
Yeah, I think people don't. Well, and we argued at the outset, Jerry. I would have put Parker Livingstone in my top 5 players ascending, clearly. But that doesn't mean that we expect less from Emmett Mosley.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not. The two things can both be true. We can like Parker Livingstone and like Emmett Mosley. That's the good thing about being at Texas. The reality of it is, and we have coined this term before with Sark. It's the circle of trust. Who he allows to go and make plays for him at wide receiver or even in the running back room. Who he trusts. Like last year, he started out trusting Wisner, Blue, and Gibson, but then he kind of soured on Jaden Blue after that fumble at Mississippi State. Then he soured a little bit on Jarrett Gibson because of the fumble. Only Trey Wisner carried it through the whole way, and then Jaden Blue came back and had a really good second half of the season.
Yeah.
So he does that, and Jarrett Gibson never really got back into the good graces after a couple of fumbles. Okay, think about it at receiver in a somewhat similar situation. I mean, there was the second year he was at Texas where he literally didn't rotate much at all at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Last year he rotated more because he had more guys. This year it's 4 right now. They're trying to get to 5 or 6 with Dalen McCutcheon and perhaps Khalil Lockett right now, and maybe Aaron Butler. who showed some things on Saturday during Saturday scrimmage. But the 4 they trust right now does include Livingstone, and it does include Mosley. DeAndre Moore and Ryan Wingo, obviously, already in that. I mean, they started a national semifinal.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby, can you tell us about Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. Adam's a good friend of the program. We appreciate him very much. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, make sure you give Adam and his group a shout over at loweylawfirm.com. They'll give you a free consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, that's Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. He's been helping injured Texans for more than 20 years, UT Law School grad, loweylawfirm.com. Thank you very much, Adam. Adam will also, by the way, be sponsoring the Rapid Reactions this football season, as well as our weekly program, State of the Program. So Adam's been a big help for us here on Texas Football.
We got a comment or two more, and let's see. Ski Breck says, "Good morning, OTF crew. Got my boy under sedation now for 9 cavities. Prayers appreciated. Good luck to your son."
Hope to see you, Ski Breck, at one of the tailgates this year, buddy. It was fun hanging out with you at tailgates last year. And good luck to you.
Frantic Longhorn with super chat says, "When the chat doesn't like what Bobby says, get the pitchforks and torches."
I don't know why, but I've somehow grown thick skin over the last 30 years, of doing this. But look, I could be wrong too. That's the thing that I want y'all to understand. I'm willing and really happy when I have a 10-2 vision for this team. If it's 12-0, I'm all here for it. So there won't be anybody, any stronger going that direction for you guys. I promise that much.
I want to follow up because there's more people on the KJ Edwards. Our stance on this is that Texas is not pushing for KJ Edwards.
Correct. They want, Derek Cooper is A1, priority 1. That's the best way I can put that. It doesn't mean that those guys won't reach out to Texas, et cetera, but Derek Cooper is priority 1 for Texas at running back, and that's not changing. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
All right, and we will close with this question from Tedapare 1. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. He says, "Who will lead the Ohio State game in sackles?"
Well, it better be a Texas player. If it's Kenyatta Jackson, that's not a good thing for Texas. It's going to be Colin Simmons, barring triple teams and scheming away from him.
Or Anthony Hill.
It's going to be Colin Simmons.
I think they will have plans for Colin Simmons. I think that's one of the things that Ryan Day, as a fairly accomplished play caller and schematic guy, will have. I think they will. You have a little bit different issue with Anthony Hill because he lines up all over the place. Right?
The hustle and beyond. That's a good one. Sneaky pick. Brad Spence. Sneaky good pick right there.
They probably won't rotate the protection to his side when he comes in.
It's a sneaky good pick.
They will to Colin Simmons. A lot of people will be doing that to Colin Simmons this year.
Yeah.
They're not going to leave him one-on-one.
The biggest issue, and it's just like teams have against somebody like that, is you can't prepare for him the week before. He's too elite off the edge. There's nothing you can do to prepare for that. And that's the one thing with a player that's that gifted off the snap, is there's nothing you can do to prepare for him.
I agree. What are you going to do? Put a wide receiver out there? Off the ball and put him on scout team?
And I'm not comparing him. A lot of people probably tried the game plan for Lawrence Taylor, but at some point you're just too freaking fast off the edge and too explosive, right? And you're going to just make plays. And I'm not saying he's the next Lawrence Taylor. In some ways, let's hope he's not. But But just a guy that's that gifted off the edge, it's hard to – you still can't prepare for that speed and that initial pop.
Von Miller.
Yeah.
Those kind of guys where they're just on you, man.
Yeah.
And he's great thing about it in our intro. He's in our intro, which I love at the very end there. Wait, I want to say this, but a lot of people that follow Texas football really closely already know this. When you see Texas play football on August 30th, Colin Simmons will be number 1 on defense this year.
Let's also say this, Bobby. I don't think Texas is just going to line him up in the same spot and say, hey, come double team our guy either. There's going to be some game plan from Texas for Colin Simmons.
Hope so.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I want to thank Adam, of course, along with Gooder and Von Lane for sponsoring today's show, and Duck Camp as well. Can't forget them. Bobby, what do you have later today?
We've got the state of the program. Jerry, CJ, and I are going to talk about some things. We're also going to break down the quarterback battle a little bit because we've got some intel on that. Matthew Caldwell, we continue to hear doing extraordinarily well. Led drives of 16 and 13 plays during Saturday's scrimmage. That is quite a feat when you're trying to make or become the backup quarterback. That's moving the ball, keeping your defense rested. So I think that there's some movement there at backup quarterback. Also, we've got the live stream later tonight. Rod Babers as well as CJ and Jeff going to be talking to you guys on Wednesday night. I would also say, please check us out over at ontexasfootball.com. You get a subscription right now. We've got recruiting news, team news, all of that and more at ontexasfootball.com. 1 year of access for $39.95. That's $20 off the normal amount. Get all the practice team news that we've got, as well as recruiting. Again, just use the promo code OTFOG. We appreciate how many of you have already become members and create that message board in the community over there as well when we're not here on YouTube or on podcast.
I got to bring this up. Ski Brett, he said I got to scroll back. Is there a Lawnmower 5.0? I don't have the read today, but the 5.0 is always handy if we need it for show purposes.
Jeez.
Keep it in the box, please.
It's always here.
Keep it in the box.
It's excited about going on the road next week. It told me.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Hope you all have a great day. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake.